G'day guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Yes, I'm way down the back of the shed here. Well, past halfway, getting there with the emergency storage shed clean out series. It's been almost 3 years. We're at episode 149. We've made amazing progress because where the camera is where we started. That basically where the camera is looking now would have been a wall of boxes basically right in front of your nose. So we've come a long way. There's some amazing stuff we've found. I'm sure there's still some amazing stuff to be found. Today, we're actually not unboxing anything. We've been working on this row of boxes here, but we've made enough room. We decided to get this shelf out of the middle, and we've had a few good items off that. This week, we have a Bakelite radio. This is going to be a journey of discovery because I've never actually worked on a Bakelite radio before. I've always enjoyed them. Why am I talking so far away? Let's get the radio, we'll head into the workbench and we'll have a bit of a chat there. I've always had a soft spot for old radios. I think ever since when I found an old console radio, which is a piece of furniture, probably 1930s era, in an old farm shed that belonged to an auntie of mine. And I used to play with that, and I think it had shortwave, and I can remember mucking around and actually picking up stuff. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how dangerous the voltages were in the back, but I enjoyed fiddling with it. And throughout my life and various careers and hobbies, I've always sort of spotted them. If I see them at a garage sale, I've always liked them. I've got quite a collection stashed in cupboards here. But other than fiddling around with the valves, I've never really done any work on one. Now, I would like to learn more. I watch David Tipton, that's Dave's Radio Adventures. Great channel if you're into old valve radios. And Dave's a nice bloke, and I've learnt a lot, but I've never actually done the hands-on stuff. So let's have a look at this one, and maybe we'll power it up and see if it'll work. So this is a pretty large table radio, I think they call these. It's a HMV, His Master's Voice, Australian made, covered in dust, a model C27A. I think it dates to 1950 or 51, maybe 52, around that era. It is a shortwave and AM, or what they call broadcast wave radio, and it will have on the dial all the relevant Australian stations for each state at the time. It appears to be in good condition. There's no breaks. The speaker cloth's a bit had it, but it's got the original knobs. I can't see any cracks. It's nice to have the original back panel on it. Sometimes they're missing. It looks clean enough from the back here. We'll get in and have a look, and hopefully it hasn't had mice through it. Sometimes these crack along the top because people used to lift them from here, and because they're such a heavy unit, the Bakelite used to crack. This one has survived without a crack, and I guess the dial here, I think that's plastic rather than glass. It's probably prone to scuffing and getting marks and even cracking because it's such a big expanse on the top, but it looks like this one survived pretty well. So a prime candidate for a full restoration. I'm not sure that I do want to restore radios. I'd love to learn how to do it completely and bring them back to amazing condition, both restoring the case and electronically. Look, whether I ever get round to it is another thing or not, because I want to do so many things. I mean, I want to learn how to fix everything. I want to play table tennis in the Olympics. I realise that I've missed the boat on that one, but this cord's a bit scuffed, but I think it's our original Bakelite plug. But yeah, you can't possibly do everything, but I still hold out hopes of one day restoring some of the radios I've got stashed aside, because I've got some beautiful ones hidden in cupboards and things that I've picked up in my travels. With this one, we'll certainly clean it up. We'll kind of restore it to some degree. I would like to see if we can get it going. So this video, I have no idea where it's going to end. It's just going to be a voyage of discovery, as I mentioned. But to start with, we've got bones of a really good radio here. There's nothing that makes me think, oh, it's just not worth it. Now, as far as being a dealer goes, my best option, if I'm just talking money, would be to clean it off, put it in the shop, untested, put 50 bucks on it and see how I go. I know the amount of time I spend on it, I will never get back as far as good value for my time, but that's really not what we're about on this channel. I never let the potential return of a job influence really whether I do it or not. Well, sometimes I do. Depends how much I've got on the go. All right, I guess we better take the back cover off. I think I'll just wipe the dust off so it looks a bit better. And we'll probably try and power it up first, I guess. We'll make sure all the valves are in the back. But if it looks okay, we might try and power it up through a dim bulb tester, which limits the current in case there's a short or something bad in there. It will protect the radio from self-destructing. And then we'll go from there, whether we start pulling it apart and replacing components or what, you know, with any sort of luck, it might actually go. Okay, first step, we'll just wipe it down so it's not as dusty and dirty to handle. The Bakelite can be polished up. You can use Brasso. There's also another product that I can't remember that David Tipton has used on his channel, and he says it was a game changer. It's some sort of, I'm thinking Penetrol or something like that. It's a cleaner, and I think you'd use it, I think painters use it for prepping areas. I'm not sure, I might be on the wrong track there. I will check that out. But at this stage, I'm just going to wipe the dust off it so it's not as dirty to handle. We'll take it into the other room and try and power it up and see what happens. But before we do that, we will take the back cover off and just make sure nothing's obviously going to go bang. I did notice though, when I had a quick look at the plug here before, that this would go bang unless we do something about it. And I'll see if we stay in focus here. The old rubber wiring, if I push it through the plug a bit, has totally had it. In fact, I can't even see an earth wire there. I can see the rubber's broken off. The rubber insulation has broken off the wires. The active and the neutral still appear to be attached to the pins. I can't see a wire attached to the earth one though. So we'll have to rewire that. I'll still use the same cord for now, but if we're going to restore the thing and it's going to be used, it probably needs a new cord on it. The old rubber insulation is, it just doesn't handle the years and it breaks down and it's quite dangerous. And there's a couple of spots in this cord that feel like it had been squashed a bit. I think it'd be okay to try now if we rewire the plug. So we'll have to do that. We will take the back off in a second. I'll just finish cleaning it up a bit, just so it's not so filthy. But we'll probably take the knobs off and give it a very good clean up. I'm really hoping we can get it going. All right, let's remove the back panel and have a look in there first. I think there's 4 little flathead screws. Not sure what they screw into. They look like wood screws. Okay, there we go. The big reveal. Wow, look at the dust in there. Well, it's nice to see all the valves there. It doesn't look rusty. I think it'll clean up quite well. May not be rusty, but talk about dusty. There's a literal doona of dust. So this has not been disturbed for a long, long time. And I think I can safely say that it's never been restored. That would be original dust, probably layered from 1955 or so onwards. So yeah, it looks good. There's a decent speaker in the front. I think I can see the paper cone looks okay. I didn't try the dial to see if the string's still attached. We'll do that in a minute. Obviously we'll need to blow all this out, and it's a great chance to try the little Makita blower that I got the other day. Perfect job for it. There's a switch here that says generator off, generator on. I don't know what generator is. Don't know. That's the speaker. We can unplug the speaker from the back. That's good because we might slide the whole chassis out. I think that's external speaker. Oh, that one. Maybe it says it here. Speaker, external speaker. Earth is that one, and pickup. Not sure what pickup is. Unless that's an input for an amplifier, so you might have a microphone or a record player or something. You can feed a signal in. Don't know about pickup. Reference to this instrument, quote, oh, so it's a serial number down the bottom here. That's the model number. And we have an aerial and an earth. And those screws were, even though they look like wood screws, they're basically self-tappers. They just go into the frame here. Here's our dial string. So it looks to be complete. Let's see if it moves when I turn the tuning. There we go. Oh, good. That's going across. Alright, well, first thing I guess is to perhaps take it outside and we'll try and blow a reasonable amount of this dust out of it before we remove those 4 screws. We'll have to take the knobs off the front, unplug the speaker, and the whole chassis should slide out. And I think hopefully the dial string and everything stays with it. I think it will. Okay, here's my little Makita cordless blower that I did a review on just the other week. I'll put a link underneath. And this is a job that I didn't think to say it would be useful for in the review, but I'm sure it'll be great. Okay, well, given that some of that dust had 70 to 75 years of chemically welding itself to the chassis, it actually cleaned up pretty well. So it will certainly be better with a bit of a clean, but at least that makes it a little more pleasant to work on initially on the workbench. So these are brass screws, and brass screws are always good for not seizing and rusting into the threads like metal or normal iron screws are. So they would be original, I'm sure. I think everything in this radio is going to be original. Okay, we do need to take the knobs off. Now I think these ones have grub screws. Here I can see a little screw behind here. That's going to come off all right. And we have the original little felts that go behind the knobs to stop them rubbing. Looks like a little bit insect eaten. You can get new felts. I think I might even have some here. Well, probably second-hand ones, but some that are usable. Where's the screw on this one? Must be poking down underneath. That's nice. I've got the original knobs. Most radios you see... Oh, the screw must be underneath on that one too. Most radios you see have a mixture of various knobs where they've been replaced over the years. So we might have to turn the radio up to get to the other two. Whoops. Oh, we don't need to take the knobs off. Well, that was a bit of an oversight. There we go, they could have stayed on. We'll obviously take them off to clean it up anyway. I need to work on my powers of observation. Alright, well, we can now slide the chassis out. How many of you noticed that? You could have said something. Alright, so the whole dial glass and everything's sliding out. We do have to unplug the speaker, because that's not going to come out. Oh, yes it is. Everything's coming out. So we're left with a bare Bakelite case in really good condition. We'll give that a wash up. And there's our radio. Essentially just still complete, just hasn't got the Bakelite surround. Alright, let's have a look underneath. That's where all the magic happens. Alright, we have some dust that was blown around with the blower. And all original. So nothing has been fiddled with here. We have the original paper wax capacitors, which will have to be replaced. All the original resistors, some of those might have gone out of spec. But everything is pretty well as it was made, and it's quite clean, really. There's a big weight here on the back of the tuning knob. And it's probably not going to... Oh yeah, it's a bit hard without the knob. There's tag strips. This is point-to-point wiring, well before circuit boards. So yeah, it all looks in good condition. The wiring, because this is into the 50s, the wiring isn't the old rubber type, so it's actually looking pretty good. I think it's a PVC. It's only the cord that has the old rubber wiring in it. That one might be an older one. But yeah, it does look in excellent condition. I'm just doing a bit more poking around before I plug it in And I did notice, I went to the Radio Museum website, and I think they said it was a 51, 52 model. They do point out, though, that it's a generator set for 32 volts. A lot of the early farms and rural areas had 32 volt DC generators for running lights and radios. So that must be what the generator switch is on the back. But I just wanted to check, because I don't want to put 240 volts into a 32 volt radio. Then we'd have fireworks. So I'm following the wires in. These certainly look like mains wires. I mean, it's got a mains plug. So I think it was a multi-voltage option, which is why you had the switch. With the generator switch on, it allowed use of low voltage DC, and that would explain this weird looking box up on top. If I just move this chassis around, this box here, I think that's a vibrating unit which allows a radio to step up low voltage to high voltage. Actually, it allows it to change the voltage from DC to AC, which can be stepped up via the transformer to high voltage, because a transformer can't change DC from low to high voltage, but it can do that to AC. So that's what this vibrating unit does. It's a mechanical way of turning DC voltage into AC. So that's what this whole box is for powering the radio from low voltage supply. And generators traditionally had a bank of batteries so that you had power during the night, and you could run the generator during the day. So I'm just checking the mains cord here. It comes in through here. Here's the mains cord. These wires have gone so hard. In fact, a bit of a kink there, and all the insulation falls off and we're down to bare wire. So the black is the neutral, and it goes straight to the chassis, so it's earthed to the chassis. The red or active comes around over here through a metal clamp, which isn't ideal when it's so hard, because that could short out straight away, onto a little tag strip here. Now, I don't know how well you can see all this. That tag strip is actually a fuse. It has a very fine wire across the top here, so that's a fuse. So the live active goes in one side, out the other. The fuse is not blown, so it becomes a black wire. And from there, the black wire goes across the top here into this huge big wire round resistor. And then from the other end, I would assume it's dropped the voltage quite a lot to go into the... Oh, hang on, we would have AC then, so I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe there's something in this other control box, but that would reduce the voltage down to a low voltage. The other wire off the back goes to this generator switch, and then the wire from the other side of that switch goes back up to this end of the resistor. So when the switch is on, it actually takes this big resistor out of circuit. So perhaps that's where the DC voltage goes. It doesn't have to go through the resistor. It goes down to the switch, back up, and then into this control box where the vibrator is. AC voltage must be reduced through here and then goes into this box and somehow is boosted up to high voltage, which was required to run the valves. So that's about as far as I can trace the wiring that I understand. Once we finish there, it gets into all sort of electronic wizardry, which I don't understand. That's a really dodgy looking capacitor there. It looks like a block of chocolate. So anyway, I think it's kind of safe enough to plug in if we fix this plug, because that's downright dangerous. And we will have mains voltage going through here. Hopefully it doesn't short to the chassis. I will do it through my dim bulb tester, so if there is a short, it will just light up the globe and not actually cause a shower of sparks through my shed. And everything else actually looks kind of good, although these capacitors aren't going to be very good. They're going to be outside tolerances, or some of the resistors might be as well. But we could be lucky and we could actually pick up a radio station. I'd like to try. We're not going to do any further restoration in this video, but I reckon it's worth fixing the plug and just seeing what happens when we power it up. Okay, I have the radio in my other workshop now. It's plugged into my dim bulb tester over there on the wall. I'm going to have to make myself a portable dim bulb tester because it's a bit awkward getting in here. Such a big radio. So it's plugged in. I haven't turned it on yet. It is turned on at the front dial. And Kristan was here a second ago and she's just run away, I think with her finger hovering over the 000 on her phone. And she said, "Do you have a fire extinguisher in here?" which I do, by the way. Now we'll plug this speaker back in. Oh, it went in that one. Plug that speaker back in. So I think it's all right to go. The light globe here should come on a bit and then dim off if everything's right. If there's a direct short, that will come on bright. So let's get a stick to turn it on. And I'm only doing this so that I'm not in your road when it powers up. It's not like I'm poking at a bear or something. So let's turn that on. Whoa, bright light. And it's not dimming off. I think we actually have a major short somewhere. Alrightio. Just as well I had it through the dim bulb tester. There's a serious problem in there. It could be that live wire that's shorting to the chassis. Okay. Just another quick test here before I do take it back out to the other bench. I've turned this main switch on the radio, I've turned it off. So if we turn the dim bulb tester on now and provide power, if there's a short in the actual cord, I did rewire the plug and I think that's okay, but if there's a problem in the cord or the first part of the circuitry before it gets to the switch on the volume control, then this will still light up. And if it doesn't light up, well, let's see what it does. Okay, it doesn't light up, so there's no power being drawn, which tells me the fault is after the main switch in the radio. So it's somewhere in the radio there is a major short, and that's going to take a bit of diagnostics and probably electronic restoration. And I think I'd like to restore this radio, but we won't do it today. We won't do it in this video. We'll go and clean the case up and put it back in the case, and we'll have a chat about it. So we didn't have any success with this old girl today. We have learnt some things though, how important it is to have a dim bulb tester when you're powering up something that you don't know, particularly old radios and that sort of stuff. Had we not had that dim bulb, we would have definitely blown a circuit breaker in the shed, possibly damaged some more components in the radio. I don't know where the short is. It's somewhere after the on-off volume switch. So there we go. We've also learnt, I think if you were paying attention, and we showed that the neutral wire from the mains cord went to the chassis. If you had wired the plug the wrong polarity, and a lot of people will say it doesn't matter with AC, they'll still run whether you have the active, the neutral round the other way or not. Yes, it would. Well, I think it would, but the issue is that the active wire would have then gone straight to the chassis, which means the whole chassis would be live. There's no earth wire. I did ponder about an earth wire, but there was no earth wire in this, and if we were going to restore it, we would put a cord with an earth wire in it because of the metal chassis. Now, can you imagine if the active was wired on the wrong way and the chassis was live and one of the knobs came off and you touched the bare shaft at the front to adjust the volume? You would be touching live voltage. So you do need to be very aware of that sort of stuff on these old radios. So we've established it has more problems than what the cord was. It's certainly going to need replacement capacitors. That wouldn't have caused the short. It could be a transformer shorted. It might be a wire that's rubbed and touching on the chassis. Something has caused a direct short, and certainly it can't be plugged in safely. What am I going to do with it? Well, I could take it to the shop. I could probably chop the cord off and take it to the shop and say $50, but not safe. It needs to go to someone that knows what they're doing. I'm going to hang on to it because the case is so good, because the dial is good, because everything inside's nice and clean and not rusty. I think we'll get back to this sometime in the future and maybe do it up. It's well worth doing up. So it will just go into my Valve radio collection. I'm not sure where I'm going to hide it. Don't tell Christine, it'll be hidden somewhere. But it's a nice old radio. It's a relic from the past, and I do have a soft spot for them. One of these days we might actually hear it going. So yeah, nothing to write in the notepad today, but we have got something out of the shed, and we've had a bit of fun testing this radio out. Nothing in the notepad from this week, but last week we have actually sold the boxed bottle of Drambuie. And actually, if the truth be known, I sold the empty box and I gave them the bottle because I'm not allowed to sell alcohol. And also that Oriental chip carved frame that promoted a lot of discussion. Very nice piece, and it sold, both of these items sold to the same person, and that's Kit, a regular follower and subscriber of the channel, and he often drops in to purchase things that he's seen on video. So both of those are gone. Most of the other stuff hasn't really even got into the shop yet. I think some of it's still packed up. The previous week, we've sold that Edwardian shelf unit. I did call it Tasmanian Blackwood. A few people corrected me. I did put a photo on local Facebook groups and they said it was English oak. So there we go. I've still got a bit to learn about timber. But that has gone, and I did have that at $100 to sell very quickly because I did not have room for it. The other stuff has been put in the shop. There may have been some plates sold. It's a bit hard to keep track of these because we have a lady run the shop some days when we're not there. So, yep, happy to sell that shelf unit though because I really didn't have room for it. So we'll call this video finished now. Thanks for following along. Interesting little muck around with the valve radio. Next week, we have the next shelf down out in the storage shed, which is a vintage, I think 60s era Sansui amplifier and maybe tuner. We've only seen the back of it. And no doubt we'll probably plug that into the dim bulb tester and see if we can get some life out of that. Hopefully that one doesn't have a direct short in it. Hopefully it works. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.